Heyo, welcome everyone to episode 71 of Today in the Scene. I'm Joe with Indie Arcade Wave, and I just want to say thank you to everyone that's been checking us out, liking, sharing, subscribing. It means the world to us. We do this for you guys, and we just want to keep riding the wave. So this week, we're going to bring back an old friend who we spoke to a while back. I believe it was like episode 27. His name is Judah Lea, and he runs Sea Cave Arcade in New Orleans. If you haven't seen the story about what happened there, I think it was a couple days ago. Pretty just nasty story, really hard to see for anybody that loves arcade games and is part of the community. Luckily, there have been a lot of people that have chipped in and want to help out, and we've got some good things to say about it. So we'll bring in Judah right now, and we'll talk to him about what happened. How you doing,
Hey,
Judah?
how's it going?
It's good, man. I'm really glad we were able to get you on here and share your story about everything.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, and I mean, like I've seen you say on Instagram and everything, just the outpour of support from everybody after the event has been insane.
Yeah.
And we'll jump into that in a little bit, but let's just first have you introduce yourself, Judah. Just let us know, and the listeners, just let us know a little bit about yourself.
My name's Judah Lea. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm born and raised here. I'm the original owner, proprietor of Sea Cave Arcade. I'm the guy who started it. I'm 40 years old. I don't know. I've been a lifetime arcade fan, video game fan, and really also an artist. And just sort of tried to create this weird idea I had for an arcade in the past 6 years of my life. So
Yeah, I love checking out like your Instagram and your Facebook and everything, and it's super nautical in your
yeah,
location,
yeah,
which I remember you talking about last time how you'd pretty much run like from thrift store to thrift store, and you'd
sea
find
turtles here and everything.
yeah, you'd find anything like cool and nautical that you wanted to throw in the arcade, and you just put it up, which
Yeah.
just represents your art
Yeah.
side. So tell us a little bit about how you got into the arcade scene, as well as how you started Sea Cave.
I got into the arcade scene because I grew up in the neighborhood. At the time I was growing up in the neighborhoods here, there were a lot of Vietnamese corner stores. Almost all of them had an arcade cabinet in them. Usually a Street Fighter or like a Mortal Kombat or like a Neo Geo or something down here. And I would just, get quarters and go play at the corner store, and got really good at fighting games, relatively speaking to the people around me. And just found out that, get a lot of respect from your friends. Like, yeah, you can beat everybody in Street Fighter, and then then home consoles and stuff like that too. But really, like the arcade stuff for me started in corner stores here in New Orleans, mostly Vietnamese owned. Yeah.
Gotcha. So after that, I mean, obviously you grew up and you had the opportunity to kind of like do your own thing with
Mhm.
an arcade. How did you go from, I don't know, maybe you were collecting machines, fixing machines, whatever it was, and then you moved into starting the arcade? What was that process like?
Well, I was doing like video art at the time. I would do like live projections for concerts and stuff. Most of it was like VHS circuit bending based. So I had a studio space for that already. And then I had a friend that shared it with me. I had two friends. This guy Benny, who's a synth artist, he was like writing his record in there. And then my friend Jonathan Parrish, we had like a blue screen wall, and he would like make goofy videos and stuff because I was part of a live show he was doing in there also. And then I just kind of got tired ish of the nightlife, or not necessarily the nightlife, but I got tired of like going to shows and going to bars and like restaurants. It's like really a lot of like all there was to do in the neighborhood I was in. And kind of like thought back to like, well, what you used to do before? And then I realized there wasn't really like an amusement facility in that part of town, especially one that was like affordable and fun. And I just thought it'd be a really cool idea. So I knew a couple of guys that had like nightclubs, and there would be like an old beat up arcade machine that had been sitting there broken forever. So I started by buying like two of those at a couple of clubs in town, and just like learned how to redo the insides and stuff myself. And just started having like, game night in the studio space and inviting people over once a month. And then at some point, I came up with the idea for Sea Cave Arcade because there's like this friend of mine's a musician. His name's Quintron, and he throws this party every year at Mardi Gras. It's called the Maritime Ball, and you're supposed to like dress up in like nautical water costumes, and that capacity for like years. And I just had like all these plastic stuff costumes, and just started dressing arcade as an underwater for one of these like nights, and then came up with the name arcade, and I just thought just really run with it. And then that was the first space. The second space was also an art studio. We like the building the first space was in got bought out to be turned into like a brewery or something. So we had moved. And the second space we took was down in this other art studio building down in Bazant that was next to the community print shop. I really took that space because it had a door on the street. I didn't have to like walk people down the hall to get to the arcade anymore. Or didn't have steps. You know, you had to like come in on the step ladder. And it was also down by like all the art galleries down there. And like second Saturday of every month is like a big gallery night. So I would just open up the arcade for second Saturdays and invite people to come play games for free. And that's when I really started dressing it up as an underwater arcade. Like it had its own separate room in that spot. And then at some point, it's moved out of the studio stuff. Couldn't really afford it by myself. And I had met this guy who was running a nightclub called Gasa Gasa Uptown. And they had this empty space in the nightclub. And they wanted me to put arcade cabinets in there and do like a quarter split. And I thought that would help me come up with like the rent I was missing. And that's when I met Matt, my first business partner. And I told him the idea for the arcade as a business about how it's just like one flat affordable rate, all you can play, and then do like yearly memberships and stuff like that. And it's just kind of always there for people to go and, you know, be all ages and stuff like that. And he thought it was a great idea, and we started working on it together. And then we lost that space. I lost that space eventually because I just wasn't making enough money to be able to rent it. And then I found our first official legal location was on a Burgundy Street across the street from this bar called Bud Rips. And it was just a little room, and it was just an arcade. And we dressed it up, we striped the floors, you know, did all the underwater stuff with it. And then we were there for about a year, maybe a little over. We lost that lease also. And then we didn't know what we were going to do. And then we found the current spot that we're in, and we found another business partner, Darren, who helped us find, you know, with the capital to build out the space we're in now. So now there's three of us. So, and that's really where we're at. And then we worked on the building we're in now for probably almost 2 years, just repairing it and getting it together. And then we've been officially open probably for like 6 months now. So, you know, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you guys are really building and growing, and you had a whole bunch of events going on and everything. I guess kind of cover the events of the other day. Like, what happened? I know somebody was in there, they got mad, things happened and escalated to my view, out of control, which was just utterly unnecessary.
Yeah. Okay. So this really starts about, for me, probably about 4 months ago. I'm on a 4-lane street now. So it used to be an old state highway, but there's a lot of cars that drive down it really fast. And there were these bunny rabbits that kept getting loose from like one of my neighbor's yards. And they kept coming over to like the street. I'm on St. Claude, and I kept trying to like chase them off the street. And I spent like a week chasing these rabbits off of St. Claude just so they wouldn't get hit by a car because it was knuckleheads. And at one point while I'm chasing one of these rabbits, this guy pulls up in a truck, and he's a nice guy, tall guy. He's trying to catch the rabbit and move it. And that's the first time I met Wolf, you know, the guy who smashed the place up. Then probably about a month later, he shows up, really normal, really nice. Wants to buy a membership, buys a membership from us, play some games. Don't really see him for a while. They kind of occasionally would pop in, nothing, no incidents or anything like that. And but like in the last week or so, he'd been coming in more, and he'd been behaving more erratically, having like really strange conversations with people. He also like donated a bunch of magic cards to us, you know, that like I thought was nice, but you know, he seemed like a nice guy, but just like a strange guy. And then this Sunday, I wasn't even working. Like my night started off great. I finally like hit Celestial Floor and Guilty Gear, and I was like all stoked. And I was going down on my space because we were doing a Windjammers tournament, and I just wanted to play in the tournament, run the tournament. And he was there, and I was probably there for about 30 minutes. And then one of my customers, there's a guy putting stickers all over the big blue arcade cabinet. So you know, I go over there, and it's Wolf, and he's got this like price tag gun. And he's just like covering the control panel and all these like 99-cent price tag stickers. And, you know, I tell him, hey, don't stop doing that, you know. And he's getting like kind of irate with me. So I go to like, give me the sticker gun. He's like, no, it's mine, you know. And I'm like, well, man, you got to go home. You know, you can't be in here hanging out doing stupid stuff like this. And he's like, okay, well, you know, I want a refund on my membership. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm happy to oblige that. So As I go get his money, he's like picking his magic cards that he brought up over. And then like the minute I got the money in his hand, he just gets like, things just change like dramatically. It's like, starts asking me if I'm interested in dying. And like, I have an AK, and just like starts saying all this crazy stuff. And then I just keep telling him he needs to leave. And he goes outside, and when he goes outside, I have like my two of my female employees sitting at this table out there. He starts like yelling at them. He's like threatening to kill one of my customers. I was like holding one of my customers back, like business partners, all this stuff. And then he finally gets outside, and he pulls this butterfly knife out, and starts, telling me he's going to catch me on the streets and like all this stuff. And then like, I'm like, call the cops. He's like, yeah, I'm not scared of cops. I'm like, and then he takes off on foot, and we're like, okay, whatever. And like 20 minutes later, he shows up again, and he's got this bicycle U-lock. And I have like these metal frame doors with like bezeled glass panes in the middle of the doors, so you can see through the doors for my front doors. And they have like these metal handles on the outside, and they push out. And he puts this U-lock on it, and basically locked all of us in there. And then he like uses this watch, and he puts it around his hand, and he punched the door out, one of the glass panes on the doors, and then he takes off. So we call the cops, and the cops come, and we file a report and everything. And then eventually, like we get everybody out of there, and then it's like me and the other two owners, and we'll talk to the cops and file the reports and everything. And then we leave probably around like midnight or 1 or something like that. And I have like Ring cameras in the space, so go uptown, and then I live in uptown, and get a text from a friend of mine that lives downtown in the neighborhood by the arcade, telling me that like he's back and that he's like smashing all the windows. And so I called the cops, get him on the cameras. He's gone by the time the cops show up. And the cops, take pictures and stuff, and they sit around for like 15, 20 minutes, and then they leave. And then he comes back again, and he starts smashing out more windows and stuff. And, we can see him on camera. We call the cops again, and he leaves, and then the cops show up, and they hang around for about 20 minutes, and then they leave again. And then he shows up a third time. And on the third time, he actually broke into the building and just like went around with like one of those camping axes, the ones like a hammer on one side and an axe on the other, and just like use the axe side to just like hit every TV, hit every screen, hit every piece of glass you could find, all the mirrors in the bathrooms, just a bunch of stuff, like every screen in every cabinet, every television on the wall. Yeah. He also broke a bunch of liquor bottles by throwing a cinder block through the window outside. He smashed our gas meter. He smashed our electrical meter. He also put super glue in the locks on the gates, so you can't put a key into them. And so we went back down there and stayed there till about 6 a.m. And then me and one of my employees, a good friend of mine, this guy named Calder, we leave, and I'm like, let's go drive down this bar, Big Daddy's. It's like an all-night bar. And we go drive down Big Daddy's, and sure enough, like as we pull up on the corner, he goes like running out of Big Daddy's down the street. And we try to catch him, but he's on foot, and we're in a car. And we couldn't get him. And then the whole other rest of the day was just the process of like finding out where he was, trying to get the police to go get him. I even tailed him for like a good 3 hours on foot in the French Quarter. And there are other people too following this guy. Like he had tried to stab somebody, before this. A lot of instances of him pulling a knife on people and like threatening to kill them from like a lot of people after we, said something on Facebook about what happened. And that whole day, Monday, is spent like, keeping tabs on him and trying to get the cops to grab him. And then at one point, me and a lot of my employees are sitting across the street at this place called Junction across the street from us, just kind of like keeping an eye and, hanging out at the bar and keeping an eye on the building because we knew he's still out there. And then one of my other patrons is a really good friend of mine. This guy, Matt, shows up with duct tape. He doesn't see us across the street. He's just over at the building trying to put duct tape over the windows, and holes in them. And Wolf shows up again and pulls a gun on Matt. And basically tells him, I'm cartel and I'm shutting this place down. And then we come running out of the building across the street, and he takes off around the corner and disappears again. And then it just goes back to like, well, where is he? People are, telling me where he's at. he's at Wagner's, or like and then finally, like, we find out that he's on Gallier Street, like down the street, like trying to get his car jumped, presumably to like leave town. And then finally, like, the police show up again, and what, telling him, like, please, 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 you have to go get this guy, because like there are people that are looking at him right now that, like, if he tries to start that truck, won't let him leave, and like somebody's gonna get hurt, and you just please just get down there. And they went down there and they finally got him at like 11:30 at night. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
That's just insane to me, and like such a sad story for like anybody that loves arcades. And I mean, my heart went out for you right away when I saw that story, and I knew immediately I had to share it, and like had to let people know, and had to help with the GoFundMe and everything.
Yeah. So, and I mean, we've heard things about this guy. He's got mental health problems, and like he's kind of transient right now, so he doesn't have access to an address to like get his medicine and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's just, the whole thing is just like really sad.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a bad position, and it just sounds like he just snapped. Like it just, the weight was just too much.
Yeah, we've been told he's been like having a psychotic episode for like a week. So
that's never a good thing to hear. And I mean, I know the community has come through huge for you guys. I guess just tell me what that's meant to you, and how the GoFundMe, like, just what that showed you about the community.
And just how it was very life affirming, I guess. Like I loved arcades, but it's not it's not a path very many people choose or actually find any kind of success at, a lot of times. And I just feel like, all the outreach, and just even from like people in the world, but just like people from around the world, like we've gotten donations from like arcades in like Cambodia and like Quebec and Hong Kong and just everywhere. And it's just like, it's shows you how strong like this community really is. I mean, if you had told me that like I'd be in like the New York Daily News, I would have thought you were crazy, but also on Kotaku and Gizmodo with this, and like Justin Wong's sharing it. I mean, it's crazy. I wish it was for something better, not something as tragic, but like it's really helped me out. This was really going to be a rough time for me if it wasn't for all of that. Like, I'd be far more emotionally distraught about all of this stuff if it wasn't for everybody. And I genuinely thank you, everyone. Thank you. I love you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see the community come out like that. And I mean, I was looking through some of the donations, and you're right. I mean, I was seeing like arcades from all over the place that I recognized. And you guys were doing a really good job of building community at CK, just to like really bring it all in to the area. Like you said, there aren't really anywhere else that's doing like fighting game tournaments and stuff, and you have a huge fighting game community. So tell me about kind of like some of the events you were running there and everything like that. Like you had things going on Monday and Wednesday and a bunch of stuff.
Monday was like mellow Monday, not really an event, but it's like cheaper to play on Mondays, just because Mondays are generally pretty slow. Tuesdays were closed. Wednesdays always for wrestling. Like we watch AEW every Wednesday. It's kind of like the thing there, and we talk about wrestling and stuff. And then Thursdays sometimes we have DJs, but it's also like we host a game developer community, so they do like shows either on a Wednesday or a Thursday where people can come in and show what they're working on, and talk to people about it. And then Fridays is we have DJs, and Saturdays we have DJs, and then Sunday is always a tournament. The first Sunday of the month is always Smash Brothers. Second Sunday of the month is always Windjammers. Third Sunday is a puzzle game. And fourth Sunday will be a fighting game. It depends on, it switches month to month. And if there's a fifth Sunday in the month, it's what we call Wheel of Death, which is like this thing where like you spin a Wheel of Fortune wheel to decide what game you get for the matchup. So it's really just like chaos. But yeah, that's, and like we host a lot of like the beatmaker communities with like Bag Season Records doing the counter session stuff, and a lot of good people, like, and really felt safe in my space, and I was really proud of it. So, and they're coming back, and we'll be back, and they can't wait, and I'm just really humbled by it.
Yeah, I mean, after telling your story about kind of like how you moved from this location to that location, I mean, like you're coming back. Like we know you're gonna
Yeah,
come
yeah.
back.
I mean, I've built this thing like 4 times, so
Yeah,
what's another go? I guess.
right.
Right?
So I guess on that kind of topic, what are your plans for the future? Like the GoFundMe is funded. How much longer is that going to be going on now?
I mean, so with the GoFundMe, like that's primarily that's to pay my employees while we're
Hmm.
down because I love all my employees and I don't want to lose them. And it's the holidays and they need to make money, So we're gonna make sure that they get taken care of, and then the rest of it is up for whatever repair costs are left outside of insurance, if we need it outside of insurance and donations. Anything that's left after that point, we pledge to donate to a mental health service of the community's choosing in our neighborhood, just to sort of help people like Wolf get his meds so that things like this don't happen, And so we're gonna keep going with it. I think the more we make, the more better we could do for everybody. And so we have like benefit shows coming up. There are people who are doing fundraisers on their own, tournaments online, and it's great. It's just awesome to see this bad thing, like, you know, do some good in the end, and can make it better. So
Right. I mean, that's kind of all I wanted to touch on with you. I just wanted to kind of get you on here, tell your
yeah,
story,
yeah,
and
yeah. Thanks.
just talk about the community and everything. So, I guess just to wrap it up, just let people know one where they can donate, two any other
Mhm.
way they can help, and three social medias where they can check you guys out and follow.
So on Instagram it's c.cave, and then C Cave Arcade on Facebook. The GoFundMe is also called C Cave Arcade. If you go to GoFundMe, it'll come up. On our social media, as we figure out what parts we might need, because some of them are specific CRT monitors. I kind of want to, I also don't want to be inundated with a million TVs because I've had a lot of offers for televisions and stuff, and like, so everybody's got an old TV in their garage that they're willing to give me, and I really do appreciate it, but I need certain ones. So we're gonna be making a post soon about what type of television or CRT we will need. Somebody really uh, lovely guy worked at a camera shop, brought me a bunch of 4:3 ratio LCD screens that I can use. So we might be good on that. But other than that, just thanks for all the love. That's been the biggest thing, you know. That like people really cared, that they really wanted to help out. So
Yeah, man. I just want to say I hope everything goes well for you guys. We
yeah,
get
me too,
everything
man.
moving again, and you guys can open up. We're gonna keep sharing your stuff to keep help you kind of get the word out. And I mean, thanks for coming on here, Judah. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Thanks for having me again. Yeah,
Yeah, and until next time, everybody.
yeah, yeah.
Peace.
Peace.